On the planet. When buying toys for your pet, look for natural materials like cotton, rope, wood, or bamboo. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing? Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together, millions of things for our planet. June is the month to make your pet green by keeping them plastic-free. When buying toys for your pet, look for toys made with natural materials like cotton, rope, wood, or bamboo. Even better, make toys out of old t-shirts, socks, or towels. Your dog or cat will love your upcycled toy just as much. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMC FM at HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Good morning, area.
It's time to wake up. It's 5, and we're live.
Oh, is this thing on? I don't care. I want him to hear.
This is the Pregame Show, your early morning shot of sports on 95.7 The Game. Come on!
Oh, yes, it is me. It's Joe Spadoni here. Good morning to all of you beautiful people. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. On this lovely Tuesday morning here in the Bay Area. It's a little damp, a little misty. That's perfect for me in my car because right now I don't have any washer fluid and I needed a little windshield wiping. It worked out. Is it going to work out for Draymond Green? That's the question I have this morning at 888-957-9570. Good morning to all of you on Twitch and YouTube. We are up and streaming. Be sure to search 95.7 The Game in the search bar there. Like and subscribe. All that jazz. Be sure to download the Odyssey app. Favorite 95.7 The Game for all of your Golden State Warriors, 49ers, and San Francisco Giants coverage. Giants off last night. They take on Toronto as part of a 3-game set starting today. Brandon Belt reunion, if you will. Maybe we'll discuss a little Brandon Belt memories throughout the show today. And we do have some Niners news that may be relevant to some. You see what I did there? Not irrelevant. Relevant. So we'll get into that. But we start with the Golden State Warriors. And the quote-unquote legal tampering period and free agency begins this Friday. How's everything going to shake out? Well, the big domino, one of them, has already fallen for the Golden State Warriors in this offseason, and that was moving on from Jordan Poole. You got the sense that Draymond Green or Jordan Poole or both of them went to management and was looked like, hey, it's me or him. That's what they said. They went to Dunleavy, they went to Lake, whoever they needed to go to who makes the ultimate decision was like, I ain't going to be here if that guy's here. I have a feeling both of them probably did that. And ultimately, the Warriors chose Draymond. The problem is, Draymond's a free agent, and he could leave. And there's a possibility Dunleavy, Kirk Lacob, Joe Lacob are left standing at the altar with no Poole and no Draymond Green. And if that happens this offseason, it's an unmitigated disaster. Mike Dunleavy, you had one job. Fix the dark cloud this offseason that was hanging around over the team. And that means you got to get rid of Poole or Draymond. But you also got to keep the other that you're moving on from. So either Draymond or Poole. They chose to keep Draymond. Now, money talks, and we'll see what happens. All reports are just like, listen, it's more likely than not that Draymond resigns, but he's going to test free agency. And all it takes in free agency is one team to blow them out of the water. And I'm sure you've heard this sound multiple times by now, but I'll play it one more time for those of you who haven't. Brian Windhorst, ESPN insider, senior NBA insider there. That's what he had to say about the Kings clearing up a lot of cap space on draft night last week to go after a certain Golden State Warrior. Take a listen.
Kings can now go hunting for Draymond Green if they wish. And that would be extraordinarily interesting because it is the exact type of player that they need.
What a beat. So funny when ESPN, any of these get-up shows or NBA to whatever, it's not The Jump anymore, whatever it's called now, Malika Andrews, Brian Windhorst, Richard Jefferson, and all those guys. But they play these highlights and then they play these music beds under them so it's not awkward when they're just talking over highlights. It's like, you don't need to play them if it's for like 10 seconds. And listen, I'm not in television, so maybe you do, but more often than not, when we're replaying these things, it just sounds silly on an auditory medium. But I digress. If you saw me on Twitch and YouTube, though, saw me getting after it. And good morning to everyone on Twitch and YouTube. Nicole, MDK1, Jesus M, saludos. Buenos dias, Morali, Cowboy, Luis Robertson, EJ Gomez, good morning, bro, on Highway 4. The Spadoni dance, yeah. That's going to get the ladies to pay attention. Yikes. Got no rhythm. A horrible dancer. Hopefully, young Benjamin and baby Nora got the Filipino genes when it comes to the dancing on their mom's side, because this Caucasianness, the caucasity, if you will, it's not happening on the dance floor. It's just not. Oh, well, my mic just broke, and I am going to have to fix this at the break. If you saw this on YouTube, you're seeing it in real time. So, the amount of times that Steiny and I have fiddled with this thing has finally taken its toll, and we'll have to get it replaced. But for now, we're going to power through. And you just heard from Brian Windhorst there. Oh, boy. You just heard from Brian Windhorst that the Kings are going to be all in on Draymond Green. Now, what does that mean, all in? Well, it means they could offer him more money than the Warriors can. And my guess would be somewhere along the lines of maybe a 4-year deal instead of a 3. It's reported that Draymond wants 3 years, $100 million, something like that. We've heard from Monty Poole, NBC Sports Bay Area. He's reported that. So maybe the Kings say, you know what, Draymond, how about 4 years, $120 million? How about that? Get an extra year and you get more dough. Comes out to, let me do my match, $30 million per year, and you get an extra year added on. Works, right? And could you imagine Draymond Green, after all that went down this past season, not just with his own team, but with the Sacramento Kings, Sabonis, the chest stomping, riling up the crowd, getting suspended. Yeah, that happened. It feels like it's so long ago, but he got suspended for a playoff game for riling up the crowd. Do we have to just forget that? That happened. And for him to go to that team and to that fan base, be slapping the face of the Warriors, it feels like. That's him saying, you know what? I don't need you guys anymore. I'm going to move on. And Draymond Green, he's a made man when it comes to being Golden State Warrior. He's a made guy. He's a future Hall of Famer. You don't win all those titles without Draymond Green. And I don't think you win another title again if he leaves. Some may differ from that. I heard Bonte and Chasky on the Morning Roast yesterday. They're like, actually, I think the Warriors can win. Because Draymond, unfortunately, doesn't score. He's not a scorer. But I don't think you can replace that defense. He's so damn important when it comes to the switching aspect, when it comes to the offensive playmaking. I get it. He's not a quote-unquote traditional scorer, but he's got one of the highest basketball IQs of all time when he's running the offense, on defense, and I don't think there's another player in this league that can replicate what he does for this Golden State Warriors squad. Having said all that, They put themselves into this situation. They made themselves go all in on Draymond Green when they decided to trade Jordan Poole. So let me know if you agree at 888-957-9570 on the Comcast Business text line, on Twitch, on YouTube. Would this season and this offseason in particular be a disaster if the Warriors missed out on Draymond Green? Because all reports indicate that they are still the favorites, but that there's a chance he entertains some other teams and can get blown away. And here's Chris Haynes from Bleacher Report talking about that yesterday.
This is what I will say. Although Draymond is expected to return to Golden State, I was told that Draymond and his agent, Rich Paul, are very open to meeting with other teams during the free agency period. And if that is the case, that could definitely throw a wrinkle in to the situation if Draymond Green were to leave Golden State.
That could throw a wrinkle into the situation if Draymond Green were to leave Golden State. And you heard it from Windhorst, and most of the reporters out there are saying, hey, the one team that makes sense, that could put them over the top in a quest for their first NBA Finals appearance and potential championship would be the Sacramento Kings. That's the one place for Draymond Green. It's the one place. I see Sam yelling over there in the background. I don't know if he's yelling at my take or something else, or the fact that this mic, I don't even know if he's noticed, is broken, and we're going to have to get Tim Jordan on here. Oh, no, he's mad. I won't keep talking about him. Giants were off yesterday, though, so he shouldn't be too upset. 3-game set in Toronto. Again, starting today, Brandon Belt reunion. The Belt Wars. Maybe we'll play a Star Wars themed other rejoin coming back. Man. Seeing Sam get hot last week at Shasky was one of the greatest highlights, I think, here at 95.7, though. The belt back and forth. Are we going to get that again? I hope we might get a little taste in these coming days, especially if Brandon Belt has like a walk-off. Sam might have a victory lap around the station. That would be tremendous. We love Brandon. He was just befuddling at times for a lot of the fan base, and he was hurt a lot. I get it. When one of your core guys is hurt all the time, it's hard to wrap yourselves around them because they're not producing. And that goes back to Jordan Poole and Chris Paul. Because Jordan Poole, say what you will, last year, he played every game. He's one of the few guys in the league. Who was it? Him, Kevon Looney, Harrison Barnes, and one other guy to play every single game. And they pride themselves in that. They pride themselves in being available every single day. The best ability is availability, still in sports. Now, when he was out there, what was his role? He didn't know because the Warriors organization didn't know what to do. So you're replacing a guy like Jordan Poole with Chris Paul. And much has been made about Chris Paul, 38 years old, going on 39, and his availability come playoff time. And that's ultimately what's going to matter for the Golden State Warriors. Is Chris Paul in the playoffs? Will he be there? Will he be ready? They've already had one renaissance with a player that didn't really have any. Maybe marginal, and Andrew Wiggins. I don't even know if did Andrew Wiggins play in the playoffs prior to the Warriors? Let me know, 888-957-9570. I don't think this maybe one run with the Wolves, but that guy changed his whole career arc with one playoff run. You don't think the same could happen for Chris Paul? Yeah, he's a little older. Maybe a lot more people think his status is already solidified as a Hall of Famer. But you can't tell me that a championship for Chris Paul would be the icing on the cake for his Hall of Fame career. Now he has to get there first. They got to get to the playoffs. And let's not get it twisted. This was a play-in team almost last season. Play-in team. Game away from doing that. So if they lose Draymond and you trade Poole, what's the move out there that's going to bring this team back to a championship contender? Now, some arguments might be, well, if you have Stephen Curry, you're always a championship contender. And sure, but one guy's never going to do it all. That's never been the case in the history of basketball. As much as we want to say, oh, it was always MJ. No, he had Scotty. No, he had Dennis Rodman. Yeah, but Kobe, no. Kobe had Shaq. Kobe had Powell. Yeah, but Dirk had Jason Kidd and Tyson Chandler. And JJ Barea, who turned into the greatest 5'10" player in the history of the NBA for that playoff run. Even LeBron, AD, D Wade, Chris Bosh, Kyrie Irving. So you need help. Is Klay Thompson going to be that guy? Listen, he had historic stretches at times last season, but he also had one of the worst playoff series in the history of his career against the Los Angeles Lakers. And I believe that was due to great, immense pressure. I think that was the most pressure he felt ever in a playoff series. And you can say, Spadoni, what are you talking about? He's played in finals. I don't think that came close to the pressure of playing in front of your friends and family for the team you grew up rooting for in that building against the Los Angeles Lakers when your dad's calling games for the other team, all eyes on you, whole fam's out there, and you wet the bed like you did. You don't shoot that poorly and don't chalk that up to nerves, especially with a guy like Klay Thompson, who's been money many a times in big play. We were thinking Game 6 Klay. Remember that? That's what we were thinking about. Game 6 Klay. Instead, it was Game 6. Yikes. It's horrible. Everyone, other than maybe Dante DiVincenzo and Kevon Looney. It was bad. And again, that's the lasting image I'm going to have of Jordan Poole in a Warriors uniform. That little Olay defense he had on Austin Reeves, who hit that half-quarter buzzer beater. Man, it's the last image. Maybe he'll come back. I doubt it. He's a young player. Things happen in the league. Regimes change, but I don't see Joe Lacob stepping away anytime soon. And if I'm Jordan Poole, why would I want to come back to the organization that let a player punch me and didn't suspend him? And those are just facts. And the Golden State Warriors, again, and Mike Dunleavy Jr., chose Draymond over Poole. And now they need to go out and re-sign him. And if they fail that, if they fail in doing so, then this offseason's a failure. Let me know what you think. 888-957-9570. Good morning to all of you on Twitch and YouTube. If you're looking at me visually, yes, I am holding up the mic the old-fashioned way because it snapped. So we'll get that fixed. Got to hit up TJ, Tim Jordan, our engineer. But as is the case at a 5:17 a.m. show, these guys aren't awake yet. My guy Brian might be, though. He's the chief engineer around these parts. Good morning, Dublin Marge. She thinks they need to keep Draymond. It's the best bet for a repeat. Champion _ YT. Okay, let's say he leaves. What's plan B, C, and D? It's a great question. Some have hinted at a sign and trade. Would Draymond be willing to do that? I wouldn't see why not. He has a pretty good relationship with most of the people in that front office still. He's been here with Mike Dunleavy Jr., now promoted to the GM, but he's been around him. Kirk Lacob, Joe Lacob. I could see him doing that solid, but at the same time, if he goes to a team like Sacramento, he's not doing that. Now, that would only work if he's going to a team like, I don't know, Atlanta Hawks, and I don't see that happening. They just got rid of John Collins. He's going to the Jazz for Rudy Gay and what, a second-round pick? Yikes. Great value you got there over in Atlanta. Feels like John Collins is in every single NBA trade machine in the past 5 years when it came to the trade deadline or offseason moves. But I don't know what the moves are going to be for them if Draymond moves on. I don't think you can replace him, if that's the question. And if you can't replace Draymond Green's defense with this squad, good luck winning an NBA championship. Because that means you're down to Steph, doesn't play defense. CP3, doesn't really play defense. Klay Thompson, God love him, not the same defender he used to be. Could play at times. Looney, okay. Solid. Little undersized against some. And then who else? Wiggins? Okay. I don't know what I'm going to get from Wiggins. I'm going to be honest. He's had good stretches in his career. That playoff run being one of them, being an all-star just 2 years ago. 2 seasons ago, I should say. Last year, missed 2 months. Came back in, and I was very impressed. His conditioning was there. He looked pretty damn good for missing that amount of time in that playoff series. Gets hurt. Couldn't really be effective in Game 6, and that was all she wrote for the Warriors at that point. Can we expect Andrew Wiggins to be that dude going forward? Could he be on the trading block? See, there's lots of little nuances with this team that's going to make it very interesting come Friday, and we're going to be all locked and loaded right here on 95.7 The Game. All of your Warriors coverage, free agency talk, any big trade that comes down, we'll be feeding that information to you. Be sure to download that Odyssey app, favorite 95.7 The Game. Be sure to like, subscribe on Twitch and YouTube, stream us. We will be all over this NBA coverage. Who's also all over this NBA coverage is Justin Termini, host of NBA Today on Sirius XM Radio with Eddie Johnson. Does a great job. One of the thickest New York accents I've ever heard in my life. Guy just oozes as the charisma of a New Yorker talking about basketball. But here he is yesterday with the Morning Roast talking about 3 years for $75 million sounding right for Draymond in a contract extension. Take a listen.
Seems like it's going to be 3 years, right? Because it seems like I think that's how many years Steph has left on his deal. So you kind of align the deal. So I think we know that it's probably for 3 years. And Dre wasn't going to opt out of like the final year and $30 million or 27, whatever it was, to take like a 2-year deal. So yeah, I mean, 3 years, $75 million sounds about right.
And here's more from Termini discussing the Kings being a good potential fit for Draymond Green.
I think you've heard it a million times. Like, does he mean the same elsewhere? I actually think, like, the one thing that would, like, scare me about Sacramento is I think that's a place where he could go and he would actually fit in. Unlike some other places where he goes and maybe he looks like Russell Westbrook in L.A., where he's kind of exposed because it's not the right situation. Right. But, like, Sacramento, where you've got Mike Brown that he knows, a team that needs defense. He fits right in by a center who needs kind of some protection and Spadoni because he's not great there. Team that, where Spadoni is a great passer, Draymond's a great passer. I think they could work off each other. Like, other than the Sabonis, like, Draymond relationship, that would be a good fit for him.
Yeah, other than the guy stomping on his chest, that'd be a great fit. Great relationship there. And they can get over it. Stuff happens. Get over it. Get paid. Look at the bigger picture. Although, one can argue that the Warriors did the same thing last year and they could not get over it or recover from that. And that was before the season even started. So, you're going from one dark cloud to a potential other one in Sacramento. Just 90 minutes up north, however long the drive is. How long is that drive? An hour? Who's commuting out there right now? Chime in at 888-957-9570. All you commuters down from Sacramento to San Francisco or the greater Bay Area. As long as that commute for you. Not too bad, hopefully, this early in the morning. I fly over that bridge, thankfully, at this hour of the day. And I laugh at all the people when I'm leaving, who's coming in, back-to-back, bumper-to-bumper traffic. But that's always a good time to flip on 95.7 The Game and download the Odyssey app. So we love traffic here. And it means that the commute's back to normal. It means more people in the city. So good morning to all of you beautiful people who are out on the roadways. Please be safe. Like I said, it's a little slick out there. So don't speed. Even though I just said I flew over here, I was driving at a reasonable pace. Won't say what. But please, just be careful. Be careful. Or you'll end up like me this morning with a broken mic if you're not too careful. And if you're on Twitch and YouTube, you're enjoying this immensely, I am sure. Lloyd Smith, good morning. We need to keep Draymond, especially when we traded Poole. Good morning, Joe. Love listening to your show. Appreciate you, Lloyd Smith. Appreciate ya. Dublin Marge. Love Dublin Marge. She is a P1. You're locked in, Dublin Marge, to Steiny and Guru Law. I know Steiny loves reading your messages. Clay will be better without JP. I think JP's emergence messed with Clay's confidence in his role. Interesting. So because of JP's emergence, Clay was feeling less confident in his own ability. Well, that's a problem. That's a problem. If you got a future Hall of Famer and a guy that's been a part of 4 championships worrying about other players on his team, role players for that matter, he's got bigger issues than on the court. That's the mentals. And I don't think that's the case when it comes to Klay Thompson. I just think he had a really bad series. I think he had a bad stretch to start the season. And he also had a good stretch. And I think the truth is somewhere in between there when we're talking about his play going forward. I don't think he's the best two-way player in the league like he was for a good amount of time when he was at his peak. I don't think he's the worst two-way player starting the NBA. Somewhere in the middle, above average still, can get hot, can carry a team for stretches offensively, but he's not going to carry the whole team for multiple games with Steph out, and damn sure not doing it if Draymond's going to be out. Did it for a little bit this past season. He definitely did. Had some help. Definitely had some help. But with no Draymond potentially, to your point, Dublin Marge, and I know you were mentioning JP more, but if no Draymond's out there, the onus defensively is going to be even more difficult, and Klay Thompson could potentially suffer more there on that front than he would offensively. 888-957-9570. We're going to take a quick break. Come on back. See if I could do anything about this mic that broke off. I might have to move to another station, but that's all right. We'll figure it out on Twitch and YouTube. We'll still be up and streaming there. Would this offseason be a disaster for the Golden State Warriors if Draymond Green signed elsewhere? That's the question. And also, a relevant update pertaining to Brock Purdy. See what I did there? Relevant update. Oh, yes. Brock Purdy, he may be back, folks. We'll discuss that on the other side. This is the pregame show. Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game.
Here's something you've never heard before.
Stop. This is Simply Safe.
Introducing 24/7 Lifeguard Protection, only from Simply Safe Home Security. Now, monitoring agents can see and speak to intruders through our new indoor camera to help stop crime in real time and for fast police response.
unbelievable organization, and that team is just, they've been playing together for a while, and they know what they're doing.
They be playing together for a while, and they be know what they doing. Chris Paul there with ESPN's Malika Andrews discussing being a Golden State Warrior. And it's still kind of hard for a lot of us to wrap our heads around if you're a fan. Hell, if you're not a fan. This guy was enemy number one here in the Bay Area for a long, long time. And listen, time heals all wounds. So that's all I'll say for Golden State Warrior fans. Got a lot of time before the start of the regular season happens to wrap your head around this. I'm not telling you need to. But he's a Warrior. And I think at the end of the day, he will be a net positive for the team. But how much? I mean, the proof's in the pudding. It'll come during playoff time, a place where he's historically not been available. So if he's available and he produces in the playoffs, then it's a net positive. Till then, remains to be seen. 888-957-9570. Good morning to all of you on the Comcast Business text line discussing Draymond Green. If the Warriors do not bring him back, is this season going to be a disaster? Is this offseason already a disaster? For some of you, it is. Some of you who are shared my same viewpoints thought moving on from Jordan Poole would be a mistake, that he was scapegoated. I agree with that. But we can't dwell on that anymore. He's gone. So what are the other alternatives? Starts with Draymond Green. After that, limited. Who's on the table? I think it should be everyone outside of Stephen Curry should be on the table for this team now. And if that means blowing it up, retooling, revamping, so be it. Because if you lose Draymond Green anyways, you ain't winning a championship next year. I believe that. 415, great point on the Comcast Business text line. Matt Barnes, Ron Artest, both got into it with Kobe, and they became teammates. One of them became a champion, and Ron Artest hit one of the greatest shots in the history of the organization in an NBA Finals history. Game 7, L.A., Staples Center. Kisses the both his hands, puts them up to the crowd. It was beautiful. God, that was a horrible Game 7. That was one of the worst Game 7s as far as shooting percentages go I could ever remember. Final score was like in the 80s and the 70s. It was bad. But you felt the tension. That's the great thing about Game 7s. Feel tight. Feel it in your plums. Good morning on Twitch and YouTube, all of you. My family. Spadoni, any news on the Coach Kerr is bringing in to replace Jama? No news on that. Jama Malalela. Nailed it. First time. Moving on to Toronto, I believe, as the player and development coach for the team. We're going to see what's going on there. Obviously moving on. Sean Livingston moving out of his role with the team, so some upheaval in the front office as it pertains to the coaching staff. So that'll be interesting. And you mentioned Steve Kerr. Before I get to his coaching staff, I'm just going to mention Steve Kerr. It's going to be the hardest year he's had to deal with coaching-wise in the NBA. And we're not just talking about the X's and O's aspect. We're talking about the mentals, the egos that you have to deal with this squad. Chris Paul, that's an ego. Potentially Draymond Green, that's an ego. Klay Thompson, didn't think about it up until last year. There's an ego involved there too. Curry, Steph, he's Steph. He is the franchise, but still, ego involved as well. Wiggins, not really. GP2, Kuminga, another ego involved. Looney, no ego. So there's going to be a lot on Steve Kerr's plate. And God love him, he's in a lame duck season. See if they revamp him. I think Joe Lacob should let him play out the contract because I think Joe Lacob may be looking at having a massive retooling if they don't win a chip this next coming season. Good morning, Loco Moco. Nicole Diaz, P1. Nicole's Mount Rushmore. She's moving her way into the Mount Rushmore YouTube chatters here at 95.7 The Game. Nicole, Joe, what if JP wanted out? What if it wasn't that the front office chose Dre? I think JP went to them and said it's me or him, Nicole. I think that's what he ultimately did first. and that was probably advice from his agent as well. It's like, listen, I can't play with this guy. This guy punched me in the face. You did nothing about it. Dark cloud hanging over the organization. That's why we didn't win this season. It's him or me. And ultimately, Draymond has won 4 chips. They're going to keep him. And maybe Jordan Poole knew that going into it. To your point, maybe he knew that was going to be the outcome. But I think for his own sake, he needed to feel like he left out on his own terms and not the other way around. Now, on the outside looking in, it's going to look like the Warriors moved on from Jordan Poole. But I think Poole gave him that ultimatum ultimately, and that was the decision. Speaking of decisions, Kyle Shanahan's going to have one to make. Tom Pelissero reporting for NFL Network. 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy is headed to Jacksonville today to throw, and that was yesterday, obviously. And you just stop right there. Brock Purdy is headed to Jacksonville. Are we getting Trevor Lawrence? No. Although that would be the all-time swindle move. I still think there'd be a section of 49ers fan base who are like, what? Brock Purdy's better than Trevor Lawrence. I'm taking him right now over him. To which I would respond,
when does that crack come into play for you?
Yeah. I think we jumped the shark a little bit when it comes to the Brock Purdy hype train if we're talking ourselves into keeping him over Trevor Lawrence. Let's relax. That's not the case here. Back to Tom Pelissero. His tweet. 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy is headed to Jacksonville to throw for the next couple weeks with quarterback coach Will Hewlett and orthopedic specialist Tom Gormley. What was that? Brad Pitt and Glorious Bastards? Another sign Purdy is progressing through his rehab following elbow surgery and remains on track to be ready for the 2023 season. Signs are looking good. Purdy, week 1. Who's going to be the backup? Is it Trey? Is it Sam Darnold? What's it going to be? 888-957-9570. We got one more break before going to the crossover. That is next with Joe Shasky and myself. Joe Shasky, the Morning Roast, joins me every Monday through Friday at 5:45 to discuss what's already been discussed and what's going to be discussed on the Morning Roast. So that's up next right here on 95.7 The Game.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher.
on 95.7 The Game.
Welcome back. One more segment for you here before toss it over to the morning roast. This is the pregame show, Joe Spadoni. 888-957-9570. That's the number to get involved all day at this station. Comcast Business Text line is always open. Same number to call it, 888-957-9570. As well as Twitch and YouTube, we are live and streaming all day right here on 95.7 The Game. So search in those search bars, either Twitch or YouTube, like, subscribe, and also be sure to download that Odyssey app and favorite 95.7 The Game for all of your Warriors, Niners, Giants coverage right here. And we've been talking about Draymond Green, and my feelings are if the Golden State Warriors and Mike Dunleavy Jr., Kirk Lacob, Joe Lacob move on from Draymond Green, or if hell, he moves on from them, if that's what it ends up being, because all reports are is the Warriors would love to have him back. They're the favorites to get him, but listen, Draymond will have suitors. And one of those suitors is the Sacramento Kings. And here is Chris Haynes of Bleacher Report discussing Draymond meeting with other teams.
This is what I will say. Although Draymond is expected to return to Golden State, I was told that Draymond and his agent, Rich Paul, are very open to meeting with other teams during the free agency period. And if that is the case, that could definitely throw a wrinkle in to the situation if Draymond Green were to leave Golden State.
And here's Brian Windhorst of ESPN discussing the Sacramento Kings clearing cap space to go after Draymond Green.
Kings can now go hunting for Draymond Green if they wish. And that would be extraordinarily interesting because it is the exact type of player that they need.
Exact player they need. With that dance music, I need Wendy to be dancing to that next time. Guy gets after it on the dance floor, I'm sure. Brian Windhorst. Big worm guy, I'm sure, at a wedding. Wendy. But the Kings, that'd be so odd. We're talking about Chris Paul being a Warrior. Could Draymond Green be a King? I guess if we're talking ourselves into it, it has to. And at the Comcast Business Text line, they mentioned Ron Artest, Matt Barnes, playing with Kobe. They hated each other. They ended up becoming great friends. Hell, Ron Artest changed his name to Meta World Peace at that point. Then you have Richard Sherman obviously being a Niner. These things happen. Hell, Tom Brady is a minority owner with the Raiders. I know it's different. We're talking about hated players. One of the most hated. People associate that guy with the Raiders being losers the last 2 decades. Felt like they got jobbed. Shout out the Tuck Rule. I was never mad at TB12, by the way. It's Walt Coleman. Joke. Quarterback's arm was going forward my ass. One of the worst plays and calls in the history of sports. But I'm not going to be emotional about it. I don't sound salty about it, do I? Speaking of a guy who can come across as salty, but we love him here in the Bay, Oakland's own Damian Lillard. That's the other big storyline, if not the biggest, in the NBA right now. What's going on with Dame? And he seems to relish the media talking about him. Seems like he does. This guy's in every offseason debate show, radio fodder. We're talking about him now. Where's Dame going to go? How long can he stay loyal? This team's never going to win. That's the conversation that feels like is never going to die. And here's Chris Haynes discussing it, and we'll get Joe Shasky's thoughts on the other side with it for the crossover. But Chris Haynes, Bleacher Report, discussing Damian Lillard and wanting to win now, which has seemingly been the case now for the last decade. But here's Chris Haynes talking about it.
And so from Dame's standpoint, I know he's going to go into with the mindset that he's been patient all these years. and he wants to play on a team that has a chance. One thing about Dame that I can say, you guys know how close I am with Dame. One thing I can say about him, like, he doesn't want to be on a team that is just stacked. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to have a team where it's just 3 all-stars or 3 superstars, and then they go and battle that way. No, he just wants a team that has a shot. And if you look at the teams that he's been on all throughout his career, he's never really had a shot. And now Joe Cronin, I believe Joe Cronin just finished his second year as general manager. So this is a different regime, but they're kind of selling the same or going over the same talking points. And so Dame is trying to give the organization time to come up with something. That's all Dame is asking for. Come up with something. He doesn't want to go younger. He wants to get older. He wants to get older with proven veteran players. He wants to win now.
Chris Haynes of Bleacher Report there discussing Damian Lillard wanting to win now. And Dame, you didn't win because the Warriors were in your way the last decade. I mean, that's just the rat on the table. Shout out ATCO, ATCO, Pest Control, Joe Shasky. Go to ATCO for all your pest control needs. I feel like I have to do that because now it's Rat on the Table sponsored. So I'm afraid if I don't do it, I'm going to get in trouble. So there you go. But that's the rat on the table when it comes to Damian Lillard not winning. It's because the Warriors were in his way for the whole decade. He had good teams. Like, they got to the Western Conference Finals. Him getting to the Western Conference Finals with McCollum and Nurkic and all, like, that's a hell of an achievement. And they had, double-digit leads in every single one of those games. Was it 2019 when they did that Raptors run? So they had double-digit leads. They ended up getting swept. But it was a great accomplishment. Dame, just say that you're tired of losing and actually want to win on a championship-type team. It's okay to say that. People aren't going to job on you like, see, he's not loyal anymore. You're there for a decade plus. Like, come on, what are we doing here? You really going to get that offended by Twitter and Facebook for saying, see, he's not loyal? This whole thing is stupid.
I totally agree. You know me, I'm damed out.
Yeah.
Been damed out for a long time. I think he's a very, very good player.
Yes.
I think we dramatically overrate him. And just in general, the basketball fan, he plays zero defense, doesn't really elevate others around him. And then here's my biggest knock on him. Dog, if you're in a toxic relationship, get out.
Yes.
Get out. Get out. I'm sick of hearing it. He's the guy that complains about his girlfriend nagging him 24/7 and then refuses to leave him.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, to your point, everybody's leaving everywhere. And, but I'm going to stay. And then just be a malcontent the entire time? To be honest with you, the two of them need to break up. Both the Portland Trailblazers need to reset this thing and stop faking the funk. And Damian Lillard needs an opportunity to either win or shut the hell up, because I'm so sick of it.
I'm sick of it too. And he's like, you heard Chris Haynes there. He's like, well, he's given the organization time to build a win around. I was like, the organization has the heir apparent already. It's Scoot Henderson. So if anything, this is the time to tank for someone that could pair with him next season, see what you got in Scoot, and move on, to your point. And you see Miami, they're a team that's kind of sniffing around, stuff like that. And I think that'd be a perfect marriage to it, right?
Here's the problem, though, with Dame. This is the problem. Dame immediately came out and started, super teams. I ain't going to be recruiting people.
That was weird.
And it was like, dog, that is the job of a franchise player in the NBA.
Yeah.
It's to buddy up and bring people to you. Isn't it ironic? No one wants to team up with you.
Alanis Morissette. There you go. Like, no one wants to team up with him, except maybe...
You know the other guy who did that?
LeBron?
Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose said the exact same thing in Chicago. It's not my job to recruit people. Well, then you're going to be on the outside looking in.
It's true.
It literally is your job. You don't think Derek Jeter's job was to coerce people to want to come to the Yankees on the side. You don't think that Tom Brady's job was to coerce people on the side to come to the New England Patriots.
Oh, that's all it was. It was him, hey, dude, take a pay cut because we're going to win a Super Bowl. That's what I've been doing my whole career, so you can do it. Yep.
Name the generation, name the superstar player, name the winning team that didn't have somebody at the front going, come join us. Nobody's like, nope, don't want more talent
Michael
around me.
Jordan literally talked about in The Last Dance. He's like, we need to go get Dennis Rodman if we want to win more championships. Like, that's what he's doing.
There's no nobility in being some guy like, I'm going to let the team do their thing.
Kobe's like, yeah, go get me Powell or I'm leaving. Like, that's what happens. Yes, we revere these guys. Like, and I'm sure Dame does. He reveres the Jordan and Kobe's, the guys that stuck with their teams the whole time. And I know Jordan was a wizard, whatever. But you stick with these teams the whole time. Yeah, but those guys made their teams go out and get this done.
100%.
In all due respect, you're in Portland, It ain't happening, man. You're not getting anyone up there. Unless you are a Kobe or a LeBron. And LeBron did that because he was in Cleveland still, but he was LeBron. And you ain't that guy.
Imagine looking back on your career and going, God, thank God I was loyal to CJ McCollum and Nurkic.
Oh, God.
No, seriously.
No, but that's the thing.
It's the most absurd sentence ever.
It is. And like, when I hear Chris Haynes now, it's like, he doesn't want to go join a team with, it doesn't have to be a lot of superstars. They just want to win. I was like, okay. Well, then what are you doing? Then what do you want?
Exactly.
Do you want to win a championship or you just want to quote unquote win? Because you can go to OKC if you want, Dame. You ain't winning a title. You could go to the Pelicans. You're probably not winning a title. You can go to the Heat, though, and that one looks okay, maybe.
Okay, but shut up or do something.
Exactly.
It's one or the other.
Exactly. Like that. I'm so sick of it.
I'm with you. You know what I'm getting?
I wanted to play it because I was sick of it, and now I'm even more sick of it, so I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
He's not as good, but I get major Aaron Rodgers vibes.
Yes, no. Wanting this media to talk about him all the time. Aaron Rodgers obviously won a title, but Dame...
Great player.
Top 75. He made the anniversary team. I know. We were talking about that. Like, that's the thing.
I'm not trying to be a hater.
Over Dwight, over Clay. Like, that one, I was like...
You got to have some accomplishments.
Yes.
And I'm talking about playoff moments.
Yes.
And this is where he falls short for me.
I know he has some... Like,
he's a great player.
He has some playoff moments in that he's won, like, first-round series. Like, that's great. You haven't been to a finals.
His two most important moments were when Anthony Davis swept his ass and when Steph Curry came off the bench and said, I'm back.
There you go. And after Dame was doing all that smack talking, hey, it's not easy when you don't have a super team around. You remember that? And then Steph goes out and wins another title last year. It is what it is. I digress. Real quick.
Name one guy who was elevated because of Dame.
I can't. I mean, CJ McCollum, but he wasn't even elevated at Dame because they did the same exact thing. Shoot, try to get theirs, and then I'll get paid.
Who's tripping over themselves for CJ McCollum?
No one. Hell, the
nice guy,
Pelicans.
great talker.
The Pelicans are realizing now is like he ain't that guy.
Yeah, he's mid.
No, there's like Brandon Ingram's that guy.
He's Josh Hart who has a podcast.
There you go. I remember. You love the walk off.
You do, don't you?
I've never sat. I've only sat in that chair once, and I've always wanted to do the walk off like you do. I end up doing it when I hit a draw, like a little one-liners. I just walk out the studio.
The most absurd thing I do.
It's so funny though.
You know what? I'm so happy with myself that I just look for applause.
Half the time they're not even good, and we don't even look back at you, but you're still looking back. And Bonte's like, they're not even looking at you. What the hell are you doing?
It's honest to God, my favorite thing in the world is when I drop a joke, and because our studio's so janky, it's falling apart.
As you can see on YouTube.
The door's wide open. We're the only studio in America with a wide open door because it literally turns into a sauna. And when I tell a good joke and I hear you laugh from the other room, there is no greater feeling in this industry.
Maybe this is a better feeling. Brock Purdy in Jacksonville, he's throwing, Joe. I mean, what do you make of that?
This is what I make of it. Wake me up when I see him at practice.
There you go. Morning Roast next on 95.7 The Game.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco. An Odyssey station.
Toyota's 4th of July sales event is on. Celebrate your freedom to choose with a low financing rate on your choice of 5 popular Toyotas. Choose 2023 Camp